Did you know that companies with a strong business development strategy
Oh, wow.
sees like 2 to 3 times higher
Really?
average revenue growth than those without one?
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. And that's why today
Yeah.
we're diving deep into the role of the head of business development.
It's interesting how we always just think about sales as closing deals.
Right.
But in reality,
Right.
the head of business development role is a lot more strategic.
Yeah.
It's not just about that immediate win. They're really the foundation for long-term sustainable growth.
Okay, so let's break this down. We've
Yeah.
got some great sources here that lay out
Yeah.
what makes this role so critical
Mm-hmm.
for success in sales. And the first thing that jumps out is that the head of BD
Yes.
is this strategic visionary,
Exactly.
like the architect
Yes.
of a company's sales future.
It's true.
Also,
They don't just react to the market.
Yeah.
They anticipate it. They're always analyzing trends, identifying emerging opportunities,
Yeah.
and figuring out how to position the company for success in the long run.
So it's not just about hitting those quarterly targets.
Right?
It's about understanding where the industry is headed
Yes.
and making sure the company's ready to capitalize
Please have.
on those shifts.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a really unique blend of skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They need that strategic thinking,
Right.
but they also have to be incredibly market savvy.
Okay.
They have to understand the competitive landscape, the customer needs, and just overall how the market operates.
Yeah, you can't really develop a winning strategy
Right.
if you don't understand the playing field.
Exactly.
Right. But it's not just about having the right ideas.
Right.
The head of BD also needs to execute on those ideas
Yes.
and bring people along with them.
You're hitting on a crucial point.
Okay.
The head of BD needs to be a strong leader
Yeah.
and a relationship builder.
Right.
They have to be able to inspire their team.
Yeah.
Collaborate with other departments, and of course, build strong relationships with potential partners and clients.
So they're not just the brains.
Right.
They're the face of the company.
In a lot of ways.
In many ways, yeah.
Yeah.
Building those connections,
Mm-hmm.
that can drive sales growth.
It's true.
This is starting to sound like
Yeah.
the head of BD needs to be some superhuman multitasker.
Well, maybe not that far.
Okay.
But it's true that they need a pretty diverse skill set.
Right.
They could be analyzing market data 1 minute,
Okay.
pitching to a partner the next,
Yeah.
and then back to coaching their team on a new sales strategy.
Right. So that brings us to another key aspect of the role,
Yeah.
lead generation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the lifeblood
Let's do
of
it.
any sales organization.
Right. The head of BD
Yeah.
is responsible for
Well.
making sure that pipeline is flowing
Yeah.
with quality leads.
But it's not just about quantity.
Right.
Right.
It's about quality.
Yeah. They have to be laser focused on the right prospects.
Okay.
The ones that are most likely to convert into those long-term
Right.
valuable customers.
So they're not just throwing a wide net out there and
No.
hoping for the best.
No, they're using a much more strategic
Okay.
and targeted approach.
Got it.
They might be leveraging data analytics
Right.
to identify high potential prospects,
Okay.
or they might be developing creative outreach campaigns
Right.
that resonate with their target audience.
Yeah.
They're basically the architects
Mm-hmm.
of the lead generation process,
Yeah.
making sure it's aligned with the company's overall goals.
So it's not enough to just generate leads.
Right.
They need to be the right leads.
Exactly.
The ones that are going to drive revenue.
Exactly. Yes.
Contribute to the company's success.
And that's why a deep understanding of the target market is so critical.
Yeah.
The head of BD needs to know who their ideal customer is,
Right.
what their pain points are.
How the company's products or services can provide solutions.
Yeah, it's almost like they need to step into the shoes of their customer
Exactly.
and understand their needs
Yes.
and motivations. But generating leads
Right.
is just the first step,
It is.
right? They also need to nurture those leads
Mm-hmm.
and guide them through the sales process.
Absolutely. And this is where their leadership skills come in.
Okay.
They're working closely with the sales team,
Yeah.
providing support, coaching,
Mhm.
and making sure that each lead is handled effectively.
Yeah.
They're also responsible for setting targets,
Okay.
tracking progress,
Right.
and making sure the team is on track to achieve their goals.
So they're not just leading the charge.
Right.
They're also the coach
Yeah,
on the sidelines,
exactly.
making sure everyone is playing their best game.
That's a good analogy.
But beyond the day-to-day,
Mm-hmm.
our sources point to the head of BD
Yeah.
as a champion for innovation
Yes.
within the sales organization.
Right.
So what does that look like in practice?
Well, it means they're not afraid to challenge the status quo.
Yep.
They're constantly looking for new and better ways to do things,
Right.
whether that's experimenting with new sales methodologies,
Right.
exploring new technologies,
Yeah.
or just encouraging their team to think outside the box.
So they're not just following the playbook.
Exactly.
They're writing their own.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting
It is.
for anyone who wants to drive sales success.
But innovation can't happen in a vacuum.
Right.
The head of BD needs to balance that creative thinking
Okay.
with a data-driven approach.
Right.
They have to analyze the numbers,
Yeah.
track their results,
No.
and make sure their innovations are actually driving improvements.
It's that blend of creativity and data
Yes,
that seems to be a recurring theme here.
it is.
You need to think big, but you also need to back it up with evidence and insights.
Exactly. And that brings us to another critical aspect.
Okay.
Their unwavering focus on the customer.
It's easy to get caught up
Right.
in the numbers in the bottom line.
Yes.
But the best heads of BD never lose sight.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting.
Right.
We talked about strategy,
Right.
leadership,
Yeah.
innovation.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day,
Yes.
it comes back to the customer.
It does.
So how does that customer-centric approach
Right.
play out in their day-to-day role?
Well, they're constantly gathering feedback from customers,
Okay.
analyzing it,
Right.
and using it to advocate for product and service improvements.
Yeah.
They understand that happy customers are loyal customers.
Right.
And building those relationships is key
Hmm.
to long-term success.
So they're not just selling a product. They're building a brand.
Yes.
A reputation.
It's true.
A community.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
It is, and it ties into their role as expert negotiators.
Okay, let's talk about negotiation.
Yeah.
This is where things can get tricky, right?
How does the head of BD navigate these complex negotiations
Right.
and make sure that everyone's happy?
They're masters of finding that win-win scenario.
Right.
They understand that a successful negotiation
Right.
isn't about one side winning and the other losing. It's about finding solutions that benefit everyone.
So it's not about being cutthroat
No,
or playing hardball.
not at all.
Okay.
It's about understanding everyone's needs
Right.
and motivations and finding creative solutions
Yeah.
that address those needs.
Okay, so that requires
Empathy.
empathy,
Yes.
active listening, and thinking outside the box.
Absolutely.
Our sources also mentioned that the head of BD
Yes.
is a champion of innovation.
They are.
What does that look like in practice?
It means they're not afraid to challenge the status quo.
Okay.
They're constantly looking for new and better ways to do things,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's exploring new technologies,
Right.
experimenting with new sales strategies, or just encouraging their team to think creatively.
So they're not just following the playbook.
Exactly.
They're writing their own.
They are. They're
Yeah.
fostering a culture of experimentation
Right.
and continuous improvement.
Mm-hmm.
They get that in today's business landscape.
Yeah,
Complacency is the enemy of progress.
that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
But innovation can be risky.
Right.
How does a head of BD balance that
Mm-hmm.
with the need to manage risk?
That's where their strategic thinking
Okay,
and their data-driven approach come in.
got it.
They're not just throwing ideas at the wall.
Right.
They're carefully analyzing data,
Okay.
assessing risks and rewards,
Mm-hmm.
and making calculated decisions
Right.
that are in line with the company's goals.
So it's about informed risk-taking,
Yes.
not just reckless experimentation.
Precisely. And that brings us back to the customer.
You know, it's so easy to get caught up
Right.
in the numbers. And the bottom line,
Yeah.
our sources really emphasize
It's-
that the head of BD never loses sight of the customer.
No, they understand that at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's all about building those strong, lasting relationships with customers.
Yeah.
They're always gathering feedback,
Right.
listening to their needs,
Hmm.
and advocating for improvements
Right.
that enhance the customer experience.
They're like a bridge between the company
Yes.
and its customers.
Yeah.
Right. Making sure that both sides
Exactly.
are heard and their needs are met.
It's a great way to put it.
They're not just selling a product or a service.
Right.
They're building trust
Yeah.
and loyalty,
It's true.
which are essential
Absolutely.
for long-term success.
It's clear that the head of BD plays a vital role
Right.
in any organization's sales success.
But what does this all mean for our listeners?
Right.
You know?
Those sales leaders.
The sales leaders.
Hiring managers. Executives.
Who are looking to build a high-performing sales team.
Right.
Well, it means that understanding the head of BD role is essential.
Right.
It's recognizing that unique blend of skills, experience, and mindset required to excel in this position.
It's about looking beyond just the sales numbers and recognizing how strategically important this role is.
It is.
For driving sustainable growth.
Absolutely.
It's about finding someone who can close deals, build relationships, inspire teams,
champion
innovation, and advocate for the customer.
Exactly.
This deep dive has really shed light on the importance of the head of BD. But it's also raised some interesting questions.
Like how organizations can attract and retain top talent for this very demanding role.
And what steps companies can take to empower their head of BD to thrive.
Right.
And make a real impact on the business.
So I guess those are questions that our listeners will have to explore further.
I think that's a great takeaway.
This deep dive was really about understanding the depth and breadth of the head of BD role. It's clear that this isn't just a sales position.
Right.
It's a leadership position.
It is.
That requires strategic vision, relationship mastery, and operational expertise.
Absolutely.
You need someone who can drive revenue, but also shape the future of the company.
Exactly.
Hopefully this is giving you some valuable insights. For those of you listening who are in a head of BD role, or who aspire to be.
Right? It's about recognizing the power you hold to make a difference, embracing the challenges, and constantly striving to learn and grow.
As we wrap up, don't underestimate the power of strategic business development.
It is the key to unlocking sustainable growth and achieving sales success.
Invest in the right people. Empower them to lead. And watch your business soar.
Exactly. Well, they're constantly gathering feedback from customers, analyzing it, and using that feedback to advocate for improvements to products and services.
Got it.
They know that happy customers are loyal customers, and building those strong relationships is really the key to long-term success.
So they're not just selling a product.
Right.
It's bigger than that.
It is.
They're building a brand. A reputation.
That's true.
A community, even.
Exactly.
That's powerful.
It is, and it ties into their role as expert negotiators.
Okay, let's talk about negotiation. This is where it gets tricky.
It can.
Right? Because how does the head of BD navigate these complex negotiations and make sure everyone walks away happy?
Well, they're masters at finding that win-win. They understand that a successful negotiation isn't about one side winning and the other losing. It's about finding solutions that benefit everyone involved.
So it's not about hardball tactics.
No.
Or being cutthroat.
Not at all.
Okay.
It's about understanding everyone's needs and motivations. And finding those creative solutions that address everyone's needs.
Right. So that requires empathy.
It does.
Active listening.
Yes.
Really thinking outside the box.
Absolutely.
Now, our sources also mention that the head of BD is this champion of innovation.
Yes, they are.
What does that look like in practice?
Well, it means they're not afraid
to
challenge the status quo. They're always looking for new and better ways of doing things, whether that's exploring new technologies, experimenting with sales strategies, or just encouraging the team to think creatively.
So they're not just following the playbook.
Right.
They're writing a new one.
Exactly. They foster this culture of experimentation and continuous improvement. They understand that in today's business world, complacency is the enemy of progress.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does.
But innovation can be risky.
Yeah, it can.
How do you balance that desire to innovate with the need to manage risk?
Well, that's where their strategic thinking comes in and their data-driven approach. It's not just throwing ideas out there to see what sticks. It's about carefully analyzing data, assessing the risks and rewards, and making calculated decisions that are in line with the company's goals.
So it's informed risk-taking.
Exactly.
Not reckless experimentation.
Exactly. And that brings us back
to the customer.
You know, it's so easy to get caught up in the numbers.
It's true.
The bottom line.
Right.
But our sources emphasize that the head of BD never loses sight.
Never the customer. No, they don't.
Right.
They know that at the end of the day,
it's all about building those strong and lasting relationships with the customer. They're constantly gathering feedback, listening to customer needs, and advocating for improvements that enhance the customer experience.
It's like they're a bridge between the company and its customers, making sure that both sides are heard.
Exactly.
And their needs are met.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, they're not just selling a product or service.
Right.
They're building trust, loyalty.
It's true.
Which are essential for long-term success.
Right. And it's clear that the head of BD is vital to any organization's sales success.
Right. But what does all of this mean for our listeners out there?
Right. Those sales leaders.
The sales leaders.
Hiring managers.
Executives. Looking to build
a high-performing sales team. It means understanding the complexities of the head of BD role.
Right.
It's recognizing that unique blend of skills, experience, and mindset that you need to be successful.
Yeah. You got to look beyond just the sales numbers.
Yes.
Recognize how strategically important the role is for driving sustainable growth.
It's about finding that person who can close deals, but also build those relationships.
Inspire teams.
Champion innovation.
Advocate for the customer.
Exactly.
It's a tall order.
It is.
So this deep dive has shed light on the importance of the head of BD.
Yeah.
But it's also raised some questions.
Like how companies attract and retain top talent for this demanding role.
Right. And what steps can companies take to empower their head of BD?
Right.
To make a real impact.
Exactly.
I guess those are questions that our listeners will have to explore.
I think that's a great takeaway.
Yeah, this deep dive was really about understanding
depth and breadth of this role. It's clear that it's more than just sales.
Right.
This is a leadership position.
It is.
It requires strategic vision.
Yes.
Relationship mastery. Operational expertise.
Absolutely.
You need someone to drive revenue.
Right.
But also shape the future of the company.
Exactly.
For those of you listening who are currently in a head of BD role, or maybe you aspire to be, hopefully this gave you some insights.
It's about recognizing the power you have to make a difference.
Right.
Embrace the challenges. And always be striving to learn and grow.
As we wrap up.
Yes.
Don't underestimate the power of strategic business development.
It's the key to unlocking sustainable growth and achieving sales success.
Invest in the right people.
Absolutely.
Empower them to lead. And watch your business take off.
That's it.